Hey, everybody, it's Pastor John with your Midweek Moment for this week. I started at a new gym on Monday. I had been, when I first moved up here, 2.5 years ago, I'd been going to Club 24 in New Milford, and I'd grown sort of dissatisfied with it since the pandemic. So on Monday, I started at the new Milford Fitness and Aquatic Club over on Grove Street. And I got to tell you, it's only been 3 days. This morning, I got up at 5:06. I was at the gym at like 5:40. I did a full 2.5-hour workout. Took a shower, put on my work clothes, did all that sort of stuff. And I got here to church at 8:58 in the morning. And I can't remember the last time I got to church before 9 in the morning. It's the strangest thing. It's like starting at this new gym has just completely revolutionized my life. And another thing I did that I started doing it this morning because I was thinking about it, I was once it was obvious that I was going to have a chance to get to work before 9 o'clock, I became sort of obsessed with the idea of doing that. So what I did was I picked up something for a quick, nutritious breakfast. This is actually a little thing of Carnation Breakfast Essentials. And if you drink 2 of these things, it's only 440 calories, but it gives you 60% of your protein and like anywhere from 50 to 100% of all your required vitamins and minerals and whatnot. And it does all that for only 10% of your saturated fat. And which I think is pretty good. It's certainly a lot healthier than what I used to eat for breakfast. And in fact, all of this stuff is I don't know, just so changed my life that I'm actually thinking of going back to the gym this evening to try out a yoga class because they're open till 10 o'clock tonight. And in part, to be honest, I share all of this information with you so that you'll be impressed with me. That's just to be perfectly honest about it. But the major reason I share it with you is it's sort of an example of what Lent can be all about. As I think I've said before in the past, what Lent has historically been about, particularly for Protestants, is it's been a season of self-examination. It's been a season when we sort of looked at our lives and we've seen those areas where we've done well. But we've also been honest about those areas where we haven't done so well, and we've tried to make some changes in our lives so that we can do better. That's what happened with me and the gym. When I first came to Kent, I had been going to the gym 5 or 6 days a week, really quite faithfully. But in the middle of October last year, what with Mom's final illness, and then having to move, and then the holidays coming, and all of those sort of things happening just one right after the other, I got out of the habit of going to the gym, and I noticed that was having an effect. I noticed that I was putting on weight. I noticed that I was losing strength. I noticed that I just physically wasn't doing as well as I had been. I was not being sort of a good steward of the body that God had given me. And so, with this change in gyms, one of the things I'm trying to do is to be a better steward of my physical body. And what is true for me is true for all of us, right? We all have areas in our lives that we could do better in. And, taking better care, being better stewards of our physical bodies is one of those ways. That's something you might want to think about yourself. You could ask yourself questions like, when was the last time I went to the gym? Or when was the last time I rode my bike? When was the last time I went for a jog? When was the last time I even went for a really long walk? And if it's been a long time since you've done any of those things, it is possible that you are not being as good a steward of your physical body as you might be. During these remaining weeks of Lent, you might consider doing something about that. Maybe, going for a walk, even something as simple as that. The scientists say can make a big change in your health. And while I've got you here, let me suggest 2 other areas that you might think about. One of the areas is asking yourself how good a steward you are of your time. How good a steward you are of the time that God has given you. Because, if you're like me, you're always saying you don't have enough time to do things, right? I'd like to do this, but I don't have enough time. I'd like to do that, but I don't have enough time, and on it goes. But if you want to ask yourself how good a steward you're being of your time, you really need to only ask yourself two questions, I think. The first question is, how much time a day do I spend watching TV? And how much time do I spend online? And if it turns out that you're spending hours and hours of your day either watching TV or online, it is possible that you're not being as good a steward of your time as you might be. And it may just be that for the remaining weeks of Lent, you may want to get offline, or you may want to turn off the TV and instead do something like read a book. Try doing something that will sort of expand your horizons, will sort of introduce you to new worlds and new ideas. That may be one small way that you can be a better steward of your time. And along with being a better steward of your time, you might also think of being a better steward of your relationships, because, we've all got relationships. We've got friends, we've got family, co-workers, folks we know from church. The list goes on and on. And if you want to wonder about how good a steward you're being of your relationships, ask yourself this: when was the last time I had a really good talk with one of my really close friends? When was the last time I had a sit-down dinner with one of my friends? When was the last time I had a heart-to-heart talk with someone in my family? And if it turns out it's been a while since you did those things, if you've been sort of building your relationships on text messages and emails and things like that, it is possible that you're not being quite as good a steward of your relationships as you might want to be. So maybe one of the things you could do during the remaining weeks of Lent is just sit down and set aside some time to talk with a friend, a really good talk, or a really good talk with someone in your family, or to meet somebody for coffee, or to meet someone for lunch. And just invest some time in developing your relationship with that person, Because like I said, that's really what Lent is all about. It's all about thinking about what sort of stewards we've been in the past year of the gifts that God has given us, like our bodies or our time or our relationships. And then maybe thinking about how we could be better stewards of those things, not just during Lent, but during the remainder of the year that we have ahead of us. Thanks a lot.